Nintendo's Game Boy Advance is one of our all-time favorite systems. Let's take a look back at the 25 best games on Nintendo's esteemed handheld. Iridion 2 is a carefully crafted shmup built around the limitations of the Game Boy's hardware. The slightly tilted over-the-shoulder view helps players keep perspective and distance. The difficulty curve is fairly welcoming for new players, but ramps up to a threshold sufficient to challenge even experienced shooter fans. Drill Dozer is a fun action platformer where you drill through stages, enemies, and awesome bosses while wearing a robotic suit. Made by a team of mostly Pokemon veterans at Game Freak, this clever game builds a variety of smart ideas around the theme of drilling. And the Rumble Pack built into the cartridge lets you feel every bit of the action. Mega Man Zero is one of the greatest 2D action platformers on GBA. It's lengthy, it's ultra tough but never unfair, and full of gorgeous 2D artwork. It's just a fantastic and immaculate continuation of what the Mega Man franchise has always done when at its best. Ninja 5-0 is a side-scrolling arcade-style game that really thrived on the 2D-happy Game Boy Advance platform. It's one of the toughest games to find in the used cartridge market, and in the awesome gameplay sense, it is worth its weight in gold. Golden Sun pushed amazing visuals, a dynamic soundtrack, and a complex story, and even though it focused on the archaic random turn-based battles mechanic for half of its gameplay, it was still a fulfilling console-style experience on such a small system. WarioWare Twisted takes everything that worked in the first game, but ties the gameplay mechanics to a built-in gyro sensor. This manic collection of action minigames is a unique experience no GBA owner should miss. Mario Kart Super Circuit was the game that showed the Game Boy Advance had the ability to bring Super NES experiences to a portable. The game mechanics were tweaked, but the heart of the Super NES game was clearly here. Mario vs. Donkey Kong is a great game that fits GBA's pick-up and playability since players could whip out the system, solve a puzzle, and put it away for later. The game fleshed out the barrel-jumping, hammer-whacking mechanics into a huge assortment of puzzle games. Mario Golf Advance Tour is a portable follow-up to Camelot's incredible Game Boy Color golf game. There were tons of course designs and cool little hidden tricks that just couldn't be done on real-world courses. Even with its 2D restrictions, Mario Golf Advance Tour ended up the finest take-anywhere game of golf then created. Maximum Velocity deserves a lot of credit for keeping F-Zero's 16-bit roots alive. It provides old-school Mode 7 style graphics and gameplay, while putting the shoulder triggers to great new use to lean around curves. Zipping through the toughest of the 20 courses on the highest difficulty is fast-paced and ultra-satisfying. Tactics Ogre tells an interesting story with branching storylines and multiple endings, and will hook strategy fans with its addictive battle mechanics. You can grow your army to 32 soldiers, each of which is unique, and many an hour can be sunk into customizing your forces. Sega went above and beyond in adapting ChuChu Rocket to the Game Boy Advance. The creators added a superb port of the multiplayer original, and wisely added thousands of single-player puzzle levels that built on the battle mechanics and gave ChuChu Rocket's Game Boy version a tremendous depth and longevity. Both Mario and Luigi work together in this unique action RPG game that borrows heavily from the Paper Mario design. The way players manipulate both plumbers together gives the game a very unique feel, and battles feature some real-time elements. Oh, and the adventure is also funny as hell. Sacred Stone's new world map gave players many more options for what challenges to tackle next, and a deep class customization system brought more flexibility in how to tackle those challenges and grow their party. A surprisingly deep, politics-heavy story provides plenty of motivation to progress through the challenging campaign to boot. Astro Boy's controls felt great, and the game features wonderful artwork and sprite effects, some of the best ever seen on the GBA. Astro Boy beats up anime enemies in over 32 stages, while certain levels switch things up with flying shooter missions. On a system basically made for 2D action games, Astro Boy is one of the very best. Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire added some exciting new additions to the standard Pokemon formula, and everything you do on the cart can be moved over to the console versions of the Pokemon Battle series. It might not be a visual or audio marvel, but it's got it where it counts. Gameplay. The Minish Cap brought back the familiar 2D overhead game mechanics, and the ability to shrink and grow gave Link the ability to explore a world that would have normally gone unnoticed at his feet. There's a huge world to explore when you're the size of a bug, and the designers pushed some great ideas into this adventure. Even though this game came before the time of Yoshi, Mario 3 features some of the toughest level challenges in the series. And if they weren't enough, you could also use a second GBA, an e-reader, a link cable, and a pack of cards to upload some brand new levels that weren't built into the original cartridge. Of all the remakes of the Final Fantasy series on the Game Boy Advance, none stands taller than Final Fantasy VI. Awesome graphics, even better soundtrack, and that traditional Final Fantasy gameplay. It's known as the best 2D game in the series by the fans, and it is the best one on the GBA as well. Super Mario World introduced new game mechanics, including branching paths, multiple exits, multiple endings, and, most importantly, Yoshi. Like the other Super Mario Advance games, the original didn't lose much in shrinking from console to portable, which meant that you could get the same brilliant platforming experience on the go. Advance Wars offers it all. Tough-as-nails strategic gameplay, an extensive single-player campaign with tons of memorable characters and situations, user customization in the form of a map creator, and full-on 4-player multiplayer mode where only one copy of the game is required. Metroid Fusion may have brought the franchise to the GBA, but it was Metroid Zero Mission that really validated its existence. The design, touted as a remake of the game that started it all, Metroid on the NES, was far more than that. It was a visual upgrade with familiar areas, but the designers took liberties with where the game went. Though 3 Castlevania games hit the system over the course of the GBA's life, Aria of Sorrow was the one we remember the most. New gameplay elements, additional characters, enhanced visuals, and the amazing soundtrack combined to produce one of the best games in the Castlevania series, for any system. The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, with 4 swords, is admittedly a mere portable conversion of a Super NES game, but A Link to the Past is easily one of the most memorable adventures in Link's career. The GBA version retained the look, sound, and feel of the original game with very little compromise in the move to the handheld. WarioWare Inc. presents a simple yet elegant concept: minigames made by Wario and friends. The games use deceptively simple controls and a fast pace to set up a hilarious and addictive formula. From Jimmy's sporty-themed minigames to 9V nostalgia for Nintendo classics, WarioWare Inc. Mega Microgames is a timeless gem. That's it! The 25 best GBA games. Which one is your favorite? Let us know, and for all things Nintendo, you're already in the right place. IGN.